All right, everybody, welcome to episode number 12 of the This and That Gaming podcast. I'm one of your hosts for this evening. My name is Mark, if you haven't listened before. Joining me, as always, are my two comrades, my co-hosts, if you will. Firstly, Daz. Daz, how you doing?
Doing all right, man. Doing all right. Just hanging out, being cool.
Being cool.
Being cool as always.
Hanging out by the milk bar.
Let's hang by the milk bar, mate. Playing Street Fighter.
Clicking the fingers.
That's it, mate.
Yeah, that's it. Awesome. Yeah. Dave. Also joining me is Dave. Dave, how you going?
I'm all right. How are you, Mark?
Yeah, I'm all right. But are you hanging out by the milk bar as well?
No, he's not invited. No, you're not invited. No. You're at the wrong milk bar, mate.
I'm on the other corner of the street.
He's
eyeing you off.
He's at the 7-Eleven.
Yeah.
Oh God. Alrighty. Cool. So we've got a bit to cover this fortnight, which is funny because at first we were thinking there wasn't going to be a whole lot on, but thankfully that's changed. But as always, before we get into all the news and this and whatever, we'll go around the table, or the virtual table, if you will, and discuss or let everyone know what we've been playing over the past couple of weeks. Dave, how about you kick things off, because you've always got a plethora of games that you like to cover.
Cool. I haven't been playing a lot actually, just because.
Oh, wow.
I know. No, really, I've spent a lot of time on Borderlands 3, and I finished the main storyline campaign. It's a very long campaign. It probably took me over 40 hours to get through. Wow. But it's quite good. I think my initial impressions from last podcast pretty much stand. There are some frustrations, mostly around the NPCs never shutting up. But on the positive side, the boss battles are quite enjoyable. There is some really, really good side quests as well. And I think there's good opportunity for some great replay value. I only played one of the 4 classes. I've only played basically one build for that class. I didn't really re-roll my talent points, or whatever you want to call them. So, there's potentially 12 other builds out there to give a go at. And when you finish the story campaign, it unlocks like a mayhem mode where there's modifiers done to the game. So, the enemies might do more damage, or there might be, certain environmental damage that is more impactful, all that sort of stuff. So there's a lot more to do. But for now, I'm going to shelve it and move on to other things. I have to say, probably one thing that did disappoint me was some of the legendaries that dropped weren't that useful. I often found sometimes I'd be sticking with blues or purples, even though, that shiny orange/yellow item drops. But yeah, look, really good game. If you're into Borderlands, you're going to love it. And I'm glad I got through it, so it was good. Aside from that, I thought I'd check back on Game Pass and see if anything interesting is happening there. There's been a lot of releases, but I wasn't really up for playing something too big, just because Outer Worlds is coming out next week, and I know that one will take up another 40 or 50 hours of my time.
That looks really good, actually. It looks nice.
Yeah, it's looking really promising. So what I did was there's a little button in Game Pass called Surprise Me, and you click the button and it randomly chooses a game.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I did that, and it came up with this, I think it's an indie game called Old Man's Journey. And it's a pretty quick game to finish. It only took a couple of hours. And it's probably right up Matt Corley's alley. It's a bit of a point-and-click adventure.
He's a buff at point-and-click games.
Yeah. Oh, he is. Yeah, he loves them. A little bit of a point-and-click adventure, but it's sort of more a walking simulator as well. So it's about an old man. He receives a letter, and he goes on a journey. and there's no sort of dialogue or anything like that. You essentially go through these beautifully hand-drawn scenes, and there's some puzzles to solve. And the way you solve the puzzles is by manipulating the world, so the background. There might be, for example, an area where there's rolling hills, and you'll need to drag, say, some of the hills up and down so the man can cross over to different parts of the landscape. It's a bit hard to describe without playing it, but it was quite good. It was really, really good, and it's really pretty to look at, and a bit emotional at the end as well. Oh. So if you get a chance, give it a try. It only take you, I think it took an hour and a half to get through, 2 hours. So you could play it in an evening. Aside from that, not much else. I played a bit of Mega Drive Mini again. Tried a bit of Wonder Boy 4, which was the one that was translated into English a few years back. Started a session of Landstalker, so I'm a little bit of the way through that, but that game's quite big. And gave, I think it was Alyssa Dragoon a go as well, and that's quite a fun game. So
yeah, it's a good game.
But that's it for me. It was a busy 2 weeks with PAX and all other things happening as well.
Cool. Sounds good. Daz?
I've been playing on my Switch a lot lately. This thing that, again, as always, just relaxing in bed before I go to sleep. But
Wait.
What?
Give us the update on the latest journey on the Switch Lite roller coaster.
Our good friend Matt Corley bought mine Switch Lite. I thought, you know what, I don't need it.
What, Daz, was it because you didn't like the grey colour and you want turquoise or yellow or something?
Yeah, I want to get yellow next. Yeah. That'll be my next
yellow.
one. Yeah.
Sorry, keep going.
That's all right. That's okay. No, but yeah, there's been a lot of cheap games on there. I buy a lot of dollar games from it. But anyway, my Mega Drive Mini arrived, the Japanese one, so I hooked that thing up and already put in a few hours into Monster World 4. So finally, I'm going to try to finish this bastard. It is quite difficult. Can I say, you can tell a lot of today's Metroidvania games, when the boyish type games, actually a lot like this one more than anything else. It's a lot, okay. Yeah, it's not as, I mean, Monsterland, was it Monsterland 4? The one before it? It's funny how, because the Japanese names are all different. They're all,
I know, they're all over the place.
It's really part 5, if anything.
Yeah.
That was more like Dragon's Trap, Wonderful Monster, and this again has just got another element on top. It just feels more. It feels like a 32-bit game, I reckon. What do you reckon, Dave? Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
It's more advanced in that way. So yeah, I've put in a few hours of that. That's pretty much it. Yesterday I ended up getting myself a copy of it was Indiegaga, I think it was. Ended up getting the second time it's not the second time I've bought it. It's the second copy I have. Ended up getting Lords of the Fallen, some Ultimate Edition for $5. So you know what? I love that game. If you're a big Dark Souls fan, I highly recommend it. It's a lot like Dark Souls, but not as hard. So it's got a really good learning curve. It does get really insanely hard later. So I thought, well, I'm going to go PC Master Race now and play it, with beautiful graphics now instead of playing the PS4 version. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's it, yeah.
Okay.
That's it, Darren. You played lots of Wonder Boy.
Yeah, I did. All right, Casey, go.
But what about Mark? What did he play?
Jesus.
Don't worry about it, Casey. Get back in your box.
That's not very nice, Mark.
Oh, God. I haven't had a whole lot of time to play much of anything at the moment. Been a bit busy with work, but I'm still about that Monster Hunter life, just cracking away. Just trying to forge different gear and try different weapons and all that kind of stuff. But besides that, I fired up Final Fantasy 14 again today for the first time in a while. They've got like their Halloween event going on. So yeah, played that for a little bit. Besides, there was something else that I tried and forgot the life of me. I can't remember what it was. Oh, I'm sure it'll come back to me later. But yeah, it's been a bit quiet over the past couple of weeks. But yeah, all gearing up for what's coming up within the next like month and a bit, because there's a crap load of stuff coming out. I actually went and put in about, I think, four or five different pre-orders on Amazon the other day. So yeah, there's going to be it's going to be a bit to play coming up very, very soon. So that's cool.
Nice.
Alrighty, well, that is what we've been playing. So we'll we'll move through some of the news items. Like I said earlier, we were half expecting it to be fairly quiet this fortnight, and then boom, everything just everyone went ham. So to kick things off, Blizzard, a company that used to be very near and dear to my heart, doing everything that they can to piss off their player base at the moment. So for those that are following, look, we try not to get overly political on this podcast, but so unless you've been living under a rock, you'd be aware of, I guess what you could call it, the civil unrest in Hong Kong at the moment. So recently there was a Hearthstone tournament, and the player that won the tournament, I think his name is Blitzchung. It's Ning Blitzchung Wai Chung. He won the tournament. He was doing a post-tournament interview, and he held up a sign, something along the lines of, what does this say? Hang on, I'll see if I can. Something along like "Liberate Hong Kong" or something along those lines.
Well, supposedly the commentators were telling him to do it.
It's kind of hard because you could see as soon as he did it, the commentators like freaked out and actually jumped out of their chairs and hid under the commentator desk.
Yeah, okay.
So basically the fallout of that was that Blizzard originally turned around and banned the player Blitzchung for, I think it was a year.
Yeah.
And he was not allowed to enter any tournaments. And then they also fired the two casters as well. And that's caused a massive outcry amongst, I guess, Blizzard fans and non-Blizzard fans, because Blizzard does have ties to China. It's one of their bigger markets as well. So obviously, it caused a bit of an uproar. But they've since kind of, I don't know if bow to pressure is probably the right term, but they have now turned around and said that he's going to, because they also, Blizzard also said that he won't receive any of the prize money for winning the tournament. Now they've since reversed that, so he's getting the prize money, and they've shortened his suspension to 6 months. Yeah.
Okay.
What I don't know, I tried to find it, but I couldn't find any information, is if the casters have been since reinstated. It's a bit of a dick move to fire them if it's not their fault, you know. Blizzard's stance was that it's got nothing to do with their relationship with China. It's more about they don't want political views expressed on their streams or at tournaments. I don't know. I don't want to say too much, but I can understand why they would do that. But at the end of the day, it's free speech, right? And all he did was hold up a sign. So, yeah, it's just disappointing to see the Activision influence on Blizzard these days. It's just like it's one PR disaster after another with that company, especially over the last couple of years. So it's really, really disappointing to see the way the company's run now compared to the good old days, I guess you can say. But yeah, you guys, anything you want to share about this one?
No, what sorry, go Dave.
I was just going to say I'm pretty much in the same boat, but it doesn't feel like the Blizzard of old. I think they could have handled this in a better way.
Yeah.
To come out and ban him for a year. It also take the prize money is pretty ridiculous. I mean, he won, so should be entitled to that.
Yeah.
Just they're rapidly losing that sort of that prestige they had. You know, they were the company that would take forever and a day to release a game, but you knew when it came out, it was bloody awesome.
Yeah.
And they just keep, I mean, WoW had the latest expansion wasn't great as well. That's kind of hurt them too.
Yeah.
So they haven't had a great year from that perspective.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And Blizzard, the thing with Blizzard is that it always felt, because of the way that, it's their roots are pretty well known. It was a company by gamers for gamers, as cliche as that may sound. And it just doesn't seem to have that feel about it or that aura about it anymore. And look, and even their own employees were not happy with the decision. There is it's an orc statue that they have that's out in front of their headquarters, and it's got their company values, I think it is, around at the bottom. And I can't remember what it was. I think it was like something about, speech or free speech or whatever. And the employees actually went and taped over it, so it was like basically erased, because they just didn't agree with the decision. But hopefully they turn things around, stop shooting themselves in the foot, and try and move back to the Blizzard of old.
Yes.
Moving on. Almost as in response to Blizzard's poor decisions over the past couple of years, Riot Games celebrated their 10-year anniversary for, I think, is it 10 years since Riot began, or is it 10 years since League of Legends launched? I'm not.
I think it could be 10 years since League of Legends.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't seem like it came out that long ago, but it probably has been out that long.
Yeah. So they basically had a big 10-year anniversary stream a couple of days ago, and they just went ham. They announced, I think it was like 7 or 8 different projects coming out fairly soon. And when you look at them on face value, a lot of them seem to be in response to what Blizzard has been doing as well. So the first one, and the one that's got me the most excited about, is they're making a League of Legends fighting game. This has kind of been rumored for a couple of years now, but what has me excited is if you follow the fighting game scene, you would know about EVO, the big fighting game tournament. And that's run by a few people, but 2 of them, Tom and Tony Cannon, the Cannon brothers, help run that. And they used to run a studio called, the name has escaped me now, but it was similar to, I've lost it. Daz, do you know, oh my God, the Dizzy developers, what are the names again?
Oliver Twins. The Oliver Twins.
Oliver Twins. They had a studio. Is it Daybreak?
Radiant.
No,
Radiant.
Radiant. Yeah. So these guys actually also had a studio, funnily enough, called Radiant as well.
Okay.
And they made a game called Rising Thunder, which was like a fighting game with robots, and it had kind of simplified controls. And Riot actually bought them out, and we all kind of figured that they'd be making a League of Legends fighting game, but it wasn't confirmed. But that's now been confirmed. The Cannon brothers are in charge. I know Tom Cannon's involved with it anyway. And basically, we finally know it is actually set in the League of Legends universe. What they have said, though, that it's called nicknamed Project L at the moment, but they will be going dark, so to speak, and we won't be hearing anything soon. But they did show some footage. 2D.
Oh, good.
They showed some footage of it. It looked very Street Fighter 4-ish, even down to the training stage. They did show a couple of characters. One was Jinx. The other one was, I can't remember her name. she's like an assassin character. But it looked very, very cool from what they showed, but it was very, very brief. But yeah, that's in the pipe works. And the exciting thing about that, like League of Legends is like a roster of 140 characters, like, so they've got a bunch
Plenty
of
to play with.
Plenty to play with, exactly. The one that surprised me the most is they're also now making a tactical multiplayer first-person shooter. Seems to be in response to CS:GO and Overwatch. It would look like it's going to be a team, a team-based shooter, characters with abilities and all that kind of stuff. What they did show from that, I'll be honest, didn't look that great. I don't think Overwatch has anything to worry about at this stage. But again, it's early days, so to speak. But what they did say, what they're trying to focus on is things like server lag and all that kind of stuff, that they want to try and fix those kind of issues that you have in other games. So we'll see how that one goes. They also announced a card game, again, in response to something along the lines of Hearthstone. It's called Legends of Runeterra. What they've said with this one is, instead of, because I don't know if you guys have ever played Hearthstone before, but in that game, like, it's like your normal collectible game. You've got booster packs and stuff like that. I think what they said is they're going to get away with that, do away with that, and if there's a particular card that you want, you buy it. You just go out and buy it. Obviously, it's going to cost you money, but yeah, there's a card that you want, you go out and buy it straight away. They also showed off, and this one was a bit bizarre as well, but it's a management sim, which so you can basically think along the lines of like Football Manager and stuff, but you're managing a esports League of Legends team. Sounds like fun.
Some people love those sims. It's not for me.
And look, I love management games. I used to play, Championship Manager and the like back in the day, a shitload. But I don't know. It's just, I guess for the kids today, this is what they're into. God, that makes us sound old. They also showed off a Diablo-style RPG game, but they didn't really talk about it on the stream, I don't think.
Yeah, I saw some screenshots of that, but that was about it.
There was like a very brief, like 5 seconds of footage, but it looked nice from what they showed. And last but not least, they're also doing an animated series called Arcane, which will, I guess, delve into the League of Legends lore. And they also confirmed that mobile versions of League of Legends a different version of League of Legends is coming to mobile and to console, which is interesting. It's not going to be the same as the PC game. It's very similar. I think it's probably more an optimized game. They mentioned, for example, like on the console version, that you'll be able to use like twin sticks and stuff like that. It's called Wild Rift, and they're saying that both of those will launch before the end of next year. And then they also announced a bunch of changes coming to the PC version as well. So, yeah, they went nuts. It was funny. Like, I think people were expecting more PC-based stuff, and they announced a bunch of games that you wouldn't think Riot would get into. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it pans out. I mean, some of the games are very early in development, so they're likely not going to come out for a few years.
Yeah.
But, look, if Blizzard are going one way and they're going the other, well, so be it, I guess.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Cool. Alrighty. So moving on to PlayStation news, we finally got a bit of information about the PS5. Confirmed for holiday season 2020. So not too long, about a year to go. We'll probably expect it to launch around about November. if the PS4 was any indication, I'm pretty sure that's when that came out. So, yeah, what are your thoughts? Happy?
Daz, is Casey excited?
Oh, I'm loving the Switch at the moment. It swishes me up. But I can wait for the PS5. Can you, Mark? Can you wait? Answer me!
Go away. Just ignore her. Ignore her, Mark. Ignore her.
Mate, I swear to God.
Yeah. I can wait. Look, I've got enough to play. I don't know if we were looking into it later in the agenda. Just let me double check. Yeah, supposedly it's going to be backward compatible, yeah, with all other PlayStations. Now, there was one article. Yeah, there was one article I linked to you guys. Now, it pretty much said you could use your discs. I don't reckon that's going to be for real, though. I can't.
Well, maybe they'll do something like, I don't know. They could do something like Xbox One where you put in the disc just to validate, but it still downloads the whole game from their server.
Yeah,
you know.
And
who knows?
Do you think they'll be able to emulate the PS3? That's going to be a hard one. Yeah,
that's going to be the tricky one.
Yeah.
My gut feeling is the PS4 they'll have because it's similar architecture, right?
Yeah.
But the 3 it might be on PlayStation Now or something like that only. I don't know if it will be that far backward compatible. I think it'll be very unlikely.
Yeah. I mean, Sony's not ever used like proprietary discs though, right? I mean, it's always been CDs, DVDs, and Blu-ray.
Yeah, correct, yeah.
Yeah. I guess it depends on what kind of, what kind of chipset they put in there, but...
Aren't they using a special Blu-ray and one that holds 100 gig now?
Yeah.
It's still part of the standard specification, but the discs will be 100 gig.
100 gig,
I think it's still going to be the PC hardware, AMD hardware as well.
So
So
are they recording with Nero Burn? Remember the one from back in the day? Overburn it?
Yeah. Overburn it. Yeah, exactly.
What was the other one? There was one that used to... There was...
Disc Juggler for Dreamcast.
Disc Juggler,
Juggler.
For Dreamcast.
And there was one that would shrink, DVD shrink or something like that. I can't remember.
That was for ripping movies.
I was going to say, strip out all the cinematics and stuff like that so you could fit it onto a CD. Not that we know anything about that. We've never burnt a disc in our lives.
No, of course
not.
But
what do you think about what are you expecting from the PlayStation 5? Because, I mean, realistically, we're probably going to see better frame rates, possibly 4K, 60 FPS stable. But I don't know if are we going to be wowed the way we were with the PlayStation 4? I don't know.
No, I don't think so. I think this is going to be like an incremental upgrade. It's going to be more of the same, just slightly better. And that's not a bad thing because, because like we're at a really good point, like visually now at the moment. I mean, some games, like when you look at them, you think, damn, you know what I mean? So I think it's going to be more about, smooth frame rate, 60 frames per minimum, 60 frames per second minimum, and faster loading. I mean, that's the thing that both companies have been emphasizing, like SSDs. Some of the details that they kind of, I guess, released via Wired were the controller is getting a redesign. They're removing the rumble, and it's not physically, not like the shape or anything like that, more about the inside. So they're removing the rumble technology and replacing it with haptic feedback. So like one of the examples that I read was like if you're like on a racing game and you hit the curb, you can feel the curb on one side of the controller. Type deal. So it's a bit more responsive, kind of like what they tried to do with the Switch. And then what they also said was, so for example, you play a game like COD, right? And you might you might be a COD player that doesn't play the single player campaign, but you only play multiplayer. So you might chuck that portion of the game on the SSD, so it loads faster for you. You know, and take advantage of the quicker load times and all that kind of stuff, or in reverse. There was some other details that they released, but those were like the main ones. The big focus seems to be the SSD and the controller now. Anything else that you can think of, Dave, that they kind of mentioned?
No, there's sort of there probably was a few other things, and I've forgotten now.
Yeah,
it's kind of in a way, it's kind of playing a little bit of catch up with sort of high-end PCs, right?
Yeah,
that are kind of doing some of that stuff already. And we've been hurting on consoles in terms of load times. That's really painful. The Xbox is shocking with load times. PlayStation is not much better. So that'll be great to have something that loads things quicker, boots up faster as well.
Yeah,
and a minimum hard drive option of 2 terabytes has to be.
I know, that's the other thing as well, isn't it?
I mean, if everything's going to be in 4K, is these games going to take up shitloads?
Yeah.
They definitely they're probably going to do 2 games.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to get a 2 terabyte SSD in there. It'll be too costly. But whether they have, I think they have a combination of both storage. I don't know, but if they do, then that'll be the way to sort of get around that, I guess.
Yeah, I think you're spot on, Dave. I think you won't get a 2 terabyte. I think you'd be lucky if you get a terabyte SSD in there. Because, I mean, look, if the PS3 was anything to go by, they know that they can't release this thing for drug money like they did with that. So, yeah, I think we're going to get a combination of storage. I reckon 500 gig SSD because they kept emphasizing that they want you to move stuff around. And the other thing that they mentioned as well was that the UI, I guess the dashboard is getting a bit of a makeover. And one thing that they mentioned as well is going to be some kind of like a live feed feature where if you hover over the game, I guess in your dash, you can kind of see like what your friends are doing at the same time.
Oh yeah,
so
that's
if you want
cool.
to be able to jump in, something along those lines. It sounded kind of interesting, but those were the main details that they released. And yeah, coming holiday season 2020, so it'll be here before you know it. Also on PS5 news, first PS5 game confirmed by a company called Bluepoint. What makes this interesting though is that Bluepoint are known for their remakes and remasters. So any guesses to what you think they'll be working on?
Who knows? Metal Gear Solid. There's my guess.
Demon's Souls would be amazing because I've never actually played it.
It could be that.
That's the one that everyone seems to be pointing at. Yeah, that would be cool. That would be really cool. I wonder if, because my prediction for next gen is we're going to, like the remasters and remakes that we get now, it's going to go into overdrive because they're going to take advantage of the loading speeds and the frame rates. But I wonder if we really will get backwards compatibility, for example, for PS4 games, if that's going to be necessary. So if you play a PS4 game on a PS5, I wonder if it will bump the frame rates up. Interesting.
It should.
I'd say it would.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be cool.
That would be very cool.
Next bit of news. This one was kind of a surprise. PS4 ends Facebook support. So, yeah, if you were... we've all done it. I know Daz and I used to do it a lot. If you like to share screenshots or videos of your gameplay onto Facebook, that has now been removed with the latest firmware update. I think, Dave, you had a bit of info on this though, right? It was because they were using Microsoft and Sony, I think, were using like not an exploit, but like a loophole or something like that to get away with it.
Yeah, it was something like that. So obviously Facebook's had some data privacy issues over the years, and part of that has been, part of the resolution of that is them closing up some different avenues for accessing, their service and contacts and information. And I guess basically what's happened here is both Sony and Microsoft have been using a mechanism that's not necessarily supported by Facebook now. So Facebook are going to shut that option to them. That doesn't mean that, they can't develop a different API or connection to Facebook, but we probably won't see that for a little while. And maybe it'll be when the PS5 comes out now, who knows?
Yeah. So basically, the sharing option is gone. You can't stream directly to Facebook anymore. I mean, you can if you use like an external program or something along those lines, but you're streaming directly to Facebook is no longer an option. But all the other options are still. It's funny because I always wondered why the Switch didn't come with Facebook support as well, because you can, with the Switch, you can share screenshots to Twitter, but you can't to Facebook. I guess now that answers that question. So it's kind of sad, but hopefully they'll bring it back.
You can share Facebook images from the Switch.
On the Switch?
Yeah.
I've never seen that option, man. I've tried to do it before.
Yeah, unless they've taken it off too then. No, I do it all the time. Actually, videos as
Switch.
well, dude. Yeah, videos as well, dude. Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
I've never seen it. There you go.
It's true, Mark. It's true.
Shut up, Casey. No one cares. Go away. Go back to your room.
Poor thing.
Casey the know-it-all.
Oh, she swore too. She swore.
Did she?
Yeah.
Wow. It's not very nice. Well attacked. Alrighty. Next, Bethesda delays. Geez, it didn't click that both of these are Bethesda games. Doom Eternal has been delayed until March. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, March next year now.
What a shit time to delay the game to.
It was quite surprising, to be honest, because the footage had looked so ready, that they'd been showing. And at PAX, which we'll talk about a bit later, they had banners up everywhere for Doom Eternal. It's kind of like, it's not coming out next month now. So, and they're actually, I think they're delaying the Switch release further as well.
Okay.
From my understanding. So, I don't know if there must be some technical hiccups there for them to have to push it out by 4 months. But a bit disappointing.
I would have, It's just a weird month to.
Yeah.
You wouldn't want to release that much because there's Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Yes.
I think there's Avengers dropped that month as well, from memory.
I'm not sure, but it probably is. Yeah.
I know there's an insane amount of games coming out in first quarter, and a lot of them are dropping in March.
Yep.
Oh, that's harsh.
And when Cyberpunk out, is it?
I think Cyberpunk was around about then as well, from memory.
Yes.
I think Avengers is a bit later. I think it's
Avengers maybe May. I think.
Yeah,
maybe
May,
it's Cyberpunk. I'm thinking of then. So they must be confident with that the Doom name can carry itself, which it does. But And next one, Fallout 76. We just talked about this in the last episode, didn't we?
Yeah, I know.
Human NPCs are delayed. Dave, do you want to fill us in about this one as well?
Yeah, so this was going to be my driving motivation to play this game because I've had it on my machine for about 6 months and I haven't touched it. I was really waiting for them to add the human NPCs. They were going to add, some quests and the storyline with these NPCs, so it would feel like a more complete and full world. So very disappointed. They are delaying this. And on top of that, ironically, they're still releasing their private servers. I think they're coming out next week or something. So for people who aren't sort of across Fallout 76, it's obviously an online game. You play on the Bethesda servers, but what they're offering is you can have your own server where you can invite your own friends, similar to kind of what you do with Minecraft. But in order to do that, you do have to pay them a fee. So you'll be renting a private server from them. So that feature will be available, I think, from next week. But human NPCs, no. So Looks like it'll stay on my digital shelf for another 3 or 4 months until they decide to release it.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Moving on. Poor Bethesda. Next one, Steam. This is an exciting one. Steam to let you play local multiplayer games online. Fill us in, Dave.
So I don't have the full details on this, but basically from what they've been saying, essentially you've got a lot of sort of couch co-op games that you love to play with your friends locally. Now you'll be able to play those online with people, which is awesome. Sometimes the bunch of us can't get together to play such a game. Now we'll be able to do it remotely. So this is a great feature, and considering the vast library of multiplayer games on Steam, this is just huge. It's really good. So
this will be cool. This will let us play. What's that game? Does that burger
one?
Heavy burger.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of. Yeah, this is awesome. That's so good. They must do something like what we used to do with the Xbox. Yeah.
Yeah, there's been a few programs that have come out. There's one I've been dying to try it, and I keep forgetting about it. I've got it installed on my PC. It does a similar thing, and you can even use like console games and stuff. So,
okay.
It's got a Parsec. It's called.
Okay.
So it's similar kind of technology. So, but no, this will be awesome, man. Really looking for. Did they give like an ETA at all?
Yeah, so beta is starting next week.
Damn! Sweet.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I don't know the exact release date. We'll have to see how the beta goes, but it's looking pretty exciting. So
see, you know what, guys?
October 21st.
You know what, guys? This is what competition does, mate. Because Epic stores are out.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah, exactly.
It's good.
Yeah, it's another differentiator, isn't it, between the two services?
Yeah. Actually, and it's not on the agenda, but yes, Steam. Speaking of Steam, they released their UI kind of overhaul as well. I think both of you have used it now, yeah? Dave,
yeah,
used it as well?
Not me. No.
No, you haven't.
I didn't get it.
Okay.
I don't have it on mine.
Oh, you've got to enable the beta option. Enable that, and then you'll get it.
Mine doesn't work either, Mark.
I don't. Good. You don't deserve it. You annoying little. Go away.
Oh, you're making me cry.
Good. Maybe Casey needs to check with Bruce. Maybe Bruce's Steam account has got the new UI on it.
I don't know where he is. I don't know where he went.
Whoops. Hi, Dave. No, Casey's...
Hey, Bruce.
Casey's really upset with Mark.
Yeah, good.
Mate.
Tell it to someone who cares.
Don't speak like that about Casey.
Mate, dude, be careful. Watch yourself, yeah? Watch yourself.
Her bigger brother will come after you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
maybe behind the... Fight you behind the shed, Bruce.
Yeah, but the new UI looks nice. I think it's cleaner than and sort of easier to see what you've got in your library than the old one was.
Okay, because I was so distracted by the other two, what do I have to do? Go where? Steam?
Go Steam.
Yeah. Settings?
Here we go, folks. We're doing real time tech support on a This and That gaming podcast now. And there's a beta option somewhere.
Oh, thanks.
Check under account, I think, from memory.
Well, I don't keep Steam open when we're recording.
Let me just open up all 7 or 8 of my launches.
So go to exactly. Go to Steam, then settings.
Yeah.
And then accounts.
Yeah.
And then there's
somewhere.
Yeah, Steam beta update.
Yeah. Did you find it?
In the account, it's not there. Beta participation, there we go.
There you go.
One currently available. Change.
Did it work?
Steam beta update. Okay.
Yeah. So
Restart
it'll ask
Steam.
you. Yeah, you'll need to restart.
Yeah, it's
Yep.
doing it now. Oh, who's squeaking that toy? Is Casey at someone's house there?
It could be Casey's cousin.
Yeah, probably. Stacy.
That's
Stacey.
yeah, no, that is my wife trying to get my dog inside.
Oh, dear.
It's turned into a shambles. Anyway, moving on.
Yeah.
The original Half-Life has been patched.
We're so professional, guys. This is awesome.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
I know.
Tech support, and now we've got
Exactly.
toys.
Back us on Indiegogo.
Yeah,
Anyways,
yeah.
original Half-Life patched. Dave, I'm going to throw over to you again.
Yeah, sure. So, look, these are just some minor bug fixes and a security fix, but it's funny to see it patched. How long has it been? 20 years, maybe? I think it's
Wow,
probably
yeah,
close to that
geez.
long.
That long, man.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's not. It was
Oh.
99 from memory, or 99 to 2000.
Yeah, something like that. I wasn't married
Yeah.
when that came out, so
Yeah. So they did. There was a couple of things. The probably the most interesting one was one of the weapons, the MP5, which is one of the sort of small machine guns. It had the wrong sort of spread factor on the weapon.
Oh.
So the single player spread factor, I think, was set for multiplayer and vice versa. So they corrected that as part of this fix. But
cool.
aside from that, a couple other sort of missing localizations and animation and sound fixes. But I haven't tested it out. It's funny to patch a game this old, but it's such a classic game. It's probably good they did it.
Oh God, sorry. Daz is being as professional as always. He's abusing me over Steam now. All right, moving on. This is actually quite cool. 2,500 more MS-DOS games added to the Internet Archive. For those that are not aware, Dave, poor
Yes.
Dave's under the pump today.
No, that's okay.
It's
So
all
the
PC,
Internet
mate. It's all
Archive,
PC stuff. That's why.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh.
Yeah.
the Internet Archive is great. It's great because it's got a mission of archiving the internet. So part of the internet is and part of our modern life is gaming. So the archive has already had, I think, something like 2,000 games, and they've added another 2,500. So all these games are available to play through a browser. So you can actually fire up Chrome and play Doom 2 through there. There's joystick support and all that sort of stuff as well.
Oh, nice.
I tried it on my phone just out of curiosity, and it was a little bit slow. But but on PC it was perfectly fine. So I think this is really good. It means that forever we'll have a copy of. It's got stuff like Prince of Persia on here. The Lost Vikings were on there. Tons and tons of games, Wolfenstein, etc. So
Oh, cool.
yeah, very nice.
Who runs this? Do you know, by any chance?
No idea, and I don't know who funds them either, because I imagine
Yeah.
they would need quite a bit to support
Yeah.
bandwidth
Yeah,
and
because
storage.
Retro Domination's on that too.
I was going to say,
yeah. All
check
our-
us out on the
yeah.
Retro Domination podcast. Now being hosted on the Internet Archive database.
Yeah.
It's
See,
a
but-
Probably
non-profit.
jerks.
See, but are they allowed to dump all those games on there? I mean, they can't be.
Yes.
Are they? Are they all
Well,
abandonware? Are they?
they must be. I imagine if there is
Wolfenstein,
something that's
3D, really?
Well, I'm looking here. Ranging from tiny, recent, independent projects to long-forgotten big name releases from decades ago. Breathtaking view, blah, blah. No idea. I presume if there is something that, the publisher still has, a care about, they'll get it taken down. But
Yeah, because
I've been able to play.
Well,
lots on
you can get every single Sega CD game on there too.
Well,
Oh, really?
Yeah, man. Yeah.
I don't know if that's from the same part of the Internet Archive, but anyway.
It's the dark web version.
Yeah.
Yes.
Um,
let's leave that
cool.
alone, I think.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome, though. That's really, really cool.
Hmm.
Moving on. So in the last episode we mentioned that Rockstar was jumping into the oversaturated launcher game, and I said, well, I don't know if I said this on air, but yeah, no, most likely because Red Dead Redemption 2 is going to come out to PC soon, and lo and behold, Red Dead Redemption 2 is coming out to PC soon. Have they? Is there a release date? I didn't even pay much attention to it.
Me neither.
I don't have much interest in it, but there is a release date. It's November, so next month.
Okay, so not too far along. They mentioned something about 100 gig or 150 gig install. Is that right?
It's going to be large-ish. I think that's might because of the 4K textures.
4K textures, yeah.
Expect well over 100 gig.
Yeah. Final Fantasy 15 did something similar with the 4K textures, and that was like 150 gig as well. So, yeah, I'm not too surprised. But, I mean, look, that's cool. Be interesting to see what the modders do with it, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's when you get a lot out of it, so.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right, coming soon. Next one. Now, this was this dropped out of nowhere. And it's exciting news. If you're old like us and you pine for the good old days, there's a company called Analogue who've released a number of different clone consoles, I guess you can call them. I know there's a Mega Drive one. I'm pretty sure there's a Super Nintendo one as well, which basically take older systems and then update them for the modern era to run on newer TVs via HDMI and looking crisp and clear and everything like that. Now they just announced a new system coming called the Analogue Pocket, which is going to basically function as a working Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance. System. But more than that, with adapters, it will also allow you to play Game Gear Lynx and a Neo Geo Pocket Color. It's going to have a dock as well, so you can play it on your TV.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and it's also going to include like a system, I think, or something along those lines, or hardware. Called Nano Loop, which will let you create music on it. So I guess like chiptunes and the like. So they're saying it's going to come out next year. It's going to launch for about $300. I think it's just $300 US.
Yeah, that's right.
It was $199. Oh, I thought it was $199 US.
No, I think it's 300. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
so it's not cheap, but for what you get out of it, yeah, I'll be looking into one of these. I'm pretty keen on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, onto the shelf. Looking at the screen supports a resolution of 1600 by 1440.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
How sexy does it look?
It's really nice.
It looks really nice. Yeah, the renders look really, really cool. Has a micro SD slot. So you can support games via ROMs. Yeah. All right, this is starting to pay for itself already.
Yeah.
It also, I think it has it's got a second. So these are the Analog products use an FPGA. It's like a field programmable gate array, and that's how they get such accurate emulation of the original hardware. And I think this comes with two of them. So essentially, there could be mods done or releases done down the road where they can even support other hardware as well. And I know the docks are meant to support Bluetooth and wireless controllers as well. So it's a pretty, this could be potentially a complete system. It's a switch basically for your classic gaming. Yeah.
So yeah, I'm pretty keen on this one. It looks really, really nice. Yeah, definitely. You're definitely will be looking into that one. Might start, setting aside some pennies now. Switch Pro rumors. Anyone who wants to talk about this one? This is the first I'm hearing about this.
Daz, do you know anything about this?
Not much at all. All I know is that there's supposed to be a Switch Pro rumor. That's pretty much it. I think it's next year, though. I think it's next year.
Yeah,
If they're releasing it.
Yeah, I read a little bit about this, and they're definitely it's extremely unlikely we're going to see another Switch this year, and I think Nintendo have even said that themselves. But these sort of speculation is around the Switch needing some sort of refresh next year to sort of, I guess, stay in line with the new PlayStation.
Relevant,
and
you could say.
Yeah, because look, I mean, the Switch has been a big success, but its hardware, it's pushing to the limits.
Yeah.
It doesn't have a lot of RAM. I think it's only got 4 gig of RAM, and that's going to be a big factor going forward. It's going to be harder and harder to port games to the Switch with that much RAM. And its CPU is not spectacular either. So
really,
I think,
it's currently a Xbox 360 in your hand, because that's what it is, really.
Yeah,
that's the most.
It is roughly. Yeah. I mean, so I think it'll be realistic to see one come out mid to late next year, and that's sort of what the rumors are saying. And that would be about 3 years since the original Switch was released. So
already.
probably about time for a refresh. Who knows what it's going to have in it, though? It's all speculation at this point.
Yeah, that's it. Cool. Stay tuned. Next one. This one's not really surprising. So Microsoft has filed a patent for a VR system. Yeah, again, keeps them in line with what Sony's doing, I guess. Anyone got anything to add on that?
The only thing I sort of read on this was that it had some sort of barrier or mat type configuration in that patent. So I presume that it made it was alluding to making use of an entire room or a large space to sort of walk around.
Yeah.
So that could be pretty cool for being really immersed into a game. It's probably not practical for a lot of people who might just want to sit on a couch or don't have the space. But anyway, it's sometimes these things are a total dud. Sometimes they're a success. It's always good for game companies to try something new, as long as it doesn't become the main, dominating factor of the console. We just want it as an add-on, not push this and nothing else.
If that's the case, you better make sure that it's wireless.
Yeah. And I think they will be doing that if that's the case. It definitely wouldn't come with a console. I think it would be a separate purchase. But I would be hoping by then that they have a wireless version and not one with 40 cables hanging off the back of it.
Yeah. Look, it can be done. I've been to a place, again, I can't believe it. I'm getting so old that the name escapes me, but
Zero Latency?
It's basically Zero Latency, that's the one. Yeah. Where you're like in a big warehouse and you can walk around, and it's all VR, and it's fun. The technology is kind of lacking in terms of like clarity and stuff like that, but it's good for people like me as well who get motion sickness, because you're moving, it kind of alleviates that, because your brain realizes, hang on, he's moving, so I'm not going to try. He's not poisoned, he's fine. So so it'll be interesting to see what they do. Cool. Next one, again, this is probably not one that any of us here super care about, but I thought it was a nice little PR stunt. So Fortnite, game that's all the rage these days with the kiddies and stuff. It's basically ended its first season or first chapter. So what ended up happening was people were playing the game, and then this event started to kick in where like a meteor came from the sky and then rockets shot off and basically ended up with this big explosion. And then players end up getting sucked into this like void,
or something,
black hole type deal, and then the game went offline, and then basically all people could see was this little tiny black hole in the middle of the screen with random numbers that would pop up around it and stuff, and it was offline for like a couple of days.
Did you see it happen? Did you see it happen? I watched the video of it happening.
Did you?
Yeah, I watched the video of it. Yeah,
it's quite cool, actually.
Pretty cool. Look, it's I mean, there was no real threat of Fortnite going away, like all the naysayers, starters. Fortnite's dead, hooray! Like, no, Fortnite's not dead. Like, Epic's not that stupid, right? Yeah. But it was a pretty cool PR stunt. Like, it's a good way to like refresh and relaunch your game, so to speak. Pretty clever, and like people were sitting there watching the stream for 2 days straight, trying to decipher like what was going on, which is like all the rage these days. I'm going to talk about something else just real quickly. Sorry, just on a tangent because I forgot to put it up in the group. So Pokemon actually did something very similar to this a week ago with Sword and Shield. They had this stream that went for 24 hours. And what it was meant to be was like, it was meant to be set up in the new region. It was like a researcher for one of the professors in the game where she was researching the Pokemon in the region. So she set up a camera, and I did it. My fucking daughter did it. We sat there and we watched this stream for hours, and literally nothing happened. So what would happen is every say hour or 2 hours, like something would shake on the screen or something like that. And then basically what ended up happening was it was a 24-hour stream, and all they revealed was 2 lousy Pokemon, one which is a remake from one of the original games, and one which is a new one. But it was just fascinating because they had like 15,000 viewers the entire time. So people were tuned into this thing like... So it's just amazing, like the punishment that we'll put ourselves through just for one little reveal. But yeah, so Fortnite's relaunched. It's season 2. They've added a bunch of new stuff to the game, like boats, and you can go fishing now as well.
So was this actual surprise, or did people notice it was going to happen? Did it? Or did it just happen?
No. So I think they had been teasing it for maybe a week or so.
Yeah,
I'm not in. Look, I don't follow the game. I don't play it. But I think they had teased it a little bit, saying the end is coming, or something like that. And then they did it, and then bang, that was it. It was gone. It was offline for 2 or 3 days, and then they relaunched it with their new season and their new battle pass and stuff. And people are back in there, and playing. And it's not like, look, I don't play it, but good on them. It's a really cool PR stunt. One of the better ones that I've seen. In for quite a while. So next one, Super Monkey Ball. Sonic is going to be a guest character in that.
About time.
It's a shame it's in Banana Bliss. Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah,
like you would have thought they would have done this years ago. But is anyone getting Banana Blitz HD?
I'll get it. Well, how different is it to the others, dude? I don't know.
I don't know, man. I really don't know. I don't know what makes it so bad. Maybe because it was a Wii game. Maybe you had to use the Wii motion controls. I'm not sure.
Isn't it on the Vita as well? Because I'm pretty sure I played on the Vita and it's okay.
I thought the Vita one was a different game. I think it's got a slightly different name. I could be wrong. If you're going to get it for the Switch, try and get it ASAP because it seems to be sold out like everywhere.
Really?
As well. Yeah.
Yes, it's Banana Blitz. It's on the Vita as well. Yep.
Same one. Okay. I thought it was called something different. Maybe I'm thinking of something else. But so Sonic going to be in Super Monkey Ball. He's an unlockable character. He's not in there off the bat. So something to look forward to. I hope it. I don't know if Banana Blitz has the mini games or not. I really hope it does the multiplayer stuff because that and the ones in 1 and 2 were super fun. So. All right, moving on. I'm not going to talk about Miss Marvel. No one really cares. Dave, I'll let you talk about Google Stadia and the negative Negative.
So one of our favourite topics is back. Google
Yeah.
Stadia. We love it so much. No, we shouldn't be negative. We've got to be positive about new gaming inventions, but I don't know how successful this one will be. So Google have said recently that Stadia will have, this negative latency. It's going to be this feature that will allow them to reduce the latency of their, cloud gaming platform. And most people are skeptical, and so am I. So there's not really much more to say about that at this point. We haven't seen any proper demonstrations of it. Google Stadia still hasn't got an Australian release date. The US release date, I think, is next month. So let's see what happens. And I'm sure there's going to be people out there who have a great experience, and there's probably going to be quite a few who don't. So I think, to be honest, regardless of the technology behind this, which is probably quite sound and, might be acceptable most of the time, I just think their pricing and approach is not the right approach. They should have gone a Game Pass, Xbox Game Pass type approach. Get people in on a subscription, but give them games with that subscription. And I think it would have been a far more successful outing to have people pay full price on top of a subscription. To me, I don't see any benefit then.
Yeah, it's insane. I don't get it.
Yeah.
But we do have to talk about the next one. It's only going to be quick.
Definitely. So next one, another one of our favorite topics, the Atari VCS. I think is he the lead architect or the only architect has quit the project. Daz, go for it.
From what I know of, staff haven't been paid for the last few months. So I think that was his. That was the straw that broke the camel's back. I think he just probably had enough as well. So jeez, I mean, come on. I thought they got fully funded and all that kind of shit. So. Just like we've predicted, this is not. There ain't going to be no Atari VCS coming out. I don't care what anyone says. I reckon it's going to be a farce. They've just stolen money. That's it. So you're not going to be able to play Antstream on
there. Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
According to the story, so the architect he works for. Well, he's got his own company called Tin Giant, who are working on the VCS. And they haven't been paid for invoices going back over 6 months, which, as a company owner or whatever, puts his company at risk. It just, this rubbish just keeps continuing on. So,
I think they've got some... Yeah. They've been demoing some sort of hardware screenshots and all that sort of stuff recently, but they still don't have a proper OS. They don't have the proper software to even build, and put these games on yet. So, yeah.
Got an Antstream,
I don't know. And it's bloody expensive. And they got Amstream. And they'll come out, if they come out next year, I mean, PlayStation 5's out, Xbox is out. You got some serious competition. I don't know.
Yeah.
Hell, you even got the Intellivision. Is it the Intellivision coming out as well next year? The Amico, even that's got more interest than this garbage anyway. Alrighty. Moving on. Last week, we had PAX.
You
PAX
sound like
Australia.
someone else.
I know. I was like, where am I going with this? I don't know. I'm going to backtrack now. PAX Australia kicked off last Friday, ran for the entire weekend. This is unfortunately the first year where I wasn't able to get out to the show. I mean, look, if you've been following us from our Retro Domination days, you know that we were one of the original members of the classic gaming era. We did that for about 3 or 4 years. Unfortunately, we had to pull out for time reasons, but always made the effort to go out to the show, even when we weren't directly involved. But unfortunately, I wasn't able to go this year. But Daz and Dave, you guys were. Dave, I'll kick off with you. Like, what were your impressions this year? Was it much of a muchness, much of the same?
Yeah, look, I think it was much of a muchness, but that to me is a good thing anyway. I enjoy PAX.
Yeah.
I kind of know what to expect. At the same time, I enjoy the fact that I can go there, I can be whoever I like, and you're not judged. You know what I mean? You've got people of all shapes and sizes and colors there doing whatever they like, whether it's, cosplay or competitive gaming, board games or whatnot. And yeah, it's a great event. I'm so pleased that it's here in Melbourne. It's really good. So for me, a few of the highlights. I only went to one panel, and that was the Sega Masters panel. So this was a panel about four of the guys who worked at Sega Aussiesoft when they had their hotline back in the 90s, and people would ring up, asking for tips around Master System and Mega Drive. And what was good in that was just seeing they had a lot of photos and a bit of video footage from the 90s, so it was funny to see sort of their office, and they had they'd get pre-releases of the games coming out in Mega Drive, so they'd have these cartridges with dip switches on them and everything. So that was really, really cool to see that. An enjoyable panel. And I always like the PAX Rising area. There's a lot of good indie stuff that comes out, and quite a bit of it made here in Australia. And the big benefit of this area is you can actually get to play the games, because some of the queues in the other areas are humongous. So a few of the highlights there for me, there was a game called Keiju Super Date Tech. And what it is, it's a I don't know if you've seen this, Mark. It's a simple game where you basically go along an area. You're traveling along an area. You're picking up parts off the ground, whether it's wheels, could be a toilet seat, could be a piece of wood, and you're trying to construct the most elaborate vehicle you can. And there's little rocket boosters you can pick it up to make it move faster. And when you get to the end of the level, you basically are presented to this giant sort of dinosaur creature. And depending on how well you've built your vehicle, the dinosaur will either love you or hate you, essentially, and you get scored on that. So it's a multiplayer game. It was fun watching other people play as well and seeing the sort of constructions they make. So that was really good. There was a game that it's kind of basically Tetris, but you're a monkey on a bungee cord. So the pieces keep coming in from the top, and you've got to sort of bungee down and position them. And it doesn't have to be perfectly positioned, but that was really fun playing 4 players. So we'd play that 4 players. That was really good. So there was quite a few good games on show there. I quite liked it.
Okay.
Yeah, and probably the other thing I had a lot of fun with, just looking at some of the cosplay. There was some really good Borderlands cosplay, and seeing it, just been playing it, it was nice to see people dressed up as the Calypso twins, and there was one person dressed up as Moxie. She looked amazing. There was a guy dressed up as Zoidberg from Futurama.
Oh, sweet.
That was pretty cool. And another person dressed up as the Bayonetta character and looked amazing. So, it was fun. I tried out the Capcom stick as well, which we've talked about in the past. Wasn't really that impressed by it, but I have to say, look, it was a noisy atmosphere. I couldn't hear the sound. I was only allowed to play Street Fighter 2 on it. They didn't let me change the game.
Yeah, supposedly Matt Corley wasn't even allowed to take a photo. They didn't even like him taking a photo of it.
Wow.
That was just ridiculous.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, and funnily enough, Aaron Clement from Press Play on Tape, he actually got to take photos, and they didn't say a word to him.
Corley.
So maybe it was just Corley. I've heard some mixed impressions about that, and none of it is, it's not mixed actually, it's all of them were bad impressions, it's not great. And I believe the company that's making this is the same ones that did the C64 Mini.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, and I've seen some things about the guy that owns that company over the past couple of days. Who do you know that Octavius Kitten does?
Yeah, I know who she is, yeah.
Yeah, he's been putting copyright strikes against her channel
Oh, okay.
for using, that character Horace?
Yeah, Horace, yeah.
Yeah.
Does he own
He's
it?
been, supposedly he has, like, fancy putting copyright strikes
Over that.
about that. Anyway, sorry.
That's like a 40-year-old game.
Exactly, yeah, exactly. So, yeah. So if it's true that if it's the same guys, I won't be touching this with a 10-foot pole.
Yeah.
That's funny
I'm
because
sorry for the side tangent.
Because they're actually working on the full-size Commodore now, so...
Yeah.
Look, the buttons...
anyway, side tangent.
Yeah.
Yeah, the buttons felt fine on it. The joystick, like I said to you, Mark, when we caught up, has a very long throw, and you said that was quite common for a Japanese type.
For
stick.
Japanese style sticks, that's the way they are, and they take a bit of getting used to. What I've heard though, it's got some pretty bad input delay. So Mark Bell from Game System, he said he tried it, and he would move the character forward, let the stick go, and the character would keep walking forward for a couple of seconds. So, like when you're talking about fighting games and stuff like that, like that's just not.
That's a no-no.
Again, look, it's a no-no. It could be emulation. It could also be the TV, the way that it's set up. I know. Look, PAX gives them TVs, and this is what you're using. Deal with it. They may not be optimal or whatever, but yeah, it's kind of disappointing to hear. But we'll find out once it goes on sales.
The plot thickens. I've just gone onto their webpage. Every time I've gone on, this page cannot be found.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
The Capcom one.
The Capcom stick page, yeah.
There you go.
That's really strange. I just wanted to double check who is making it, because we've heard that it's them. Strange.
Yeah, it's showing a blank screen for me, so that's interesting.
Hot off the presses. You heard it from us first.
Yeah, exactly. So did you get a chance to check out, like, because this is probably one of the, oh no, it's not really, but anyways, so we had some of the bigger games coming out were there at PAX this year, like Cyberpunk, and I know Final Fantasy VII Remake was there, and Sword and Shield, Pokemon Sword and Shield, and that. Did you actually get a chance to try any of them out, though?
No.
Neither did I, man.
My son was devastated because we wanted to play Sword and Shield, and every time we went there, the queue was so long they actually stopped people joining the queue. So, Mark, I think your daughter had some more success.
Yeah, so she went in there. She went on the Saturday, and her priority was to get her hands on the demo. Got in there at opening at 10 a.m., made a beeline for the Sword and Shield area, and there was a line straight away. So they said, no, we're capping the lines. You can't wait in line anymore. So she went off and did something else, decided to try luck again. Then they said, no, that's okay. You're able to queue up. She queued up for an hour and a half.
Wow.
Queued up an hour and a half to get her hands on a 10-minute demo. She did get a pin out of it though, at least, I guess. But yeah, it's pretty insane. What I was saying to Dave was, because look, obviously it's Pokemon, you're gonna get a lot of kids coming to get the demo, or to try the demo, or to get the pins. At least give the kids the pins.
I know.
Look, you can't. Getting hands on time with the game is going to be tough unless that's all they had there, which they didn't, because they had like Luigi's Mansion and the like. But give the kids the pins, man. Like, don't make them line up for an hour and a half. That's not going to happen.
Yeah, my son was dying for that Score Bunny pin, but to no avail. Yeah,
And
it's
that was the most popular one as well.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, it's a long time to wait for a younger kid too. An hour and a half in line. Yeah. I think maybe they. I don't know what you do in this circumstance. PAX has every year seems like there's more people there, and it was okay to move around, but obviously those sort of key exhibits like Pokemon Sword and Shield were just chock a block all day.
Yeah,
so
well, I went Friday. and it was a lot roomier. But yeah, the Pokemon area was full on. Death Stranding. There's no chance. You weren't even allowed to just watch from the outside, watch the line. They had to say, "No, move."
Yeah.
So look, I pretty much stayed away from all that stuff. I mean, I was just hanging around more the retro area and just meeting up with friends and chatting away, and went to the EB giant store there, which was useless.
Yeah, that wasn't great.
Yeah, I bought a shelf filler as well for that. But yeah, look, I mean, I wasn't even patient enough to look at the indie games. I should have, but I just wanted to just hang around and just talk to mates. I really didn't really look at anything. I was looking for a keyboard there, but nah, they were too expensive for me. But I just hung around the retro area. I really didn't stick my nose into much of it. To be honest, I was just disappointed there wasn't enough stalls selling video games. All of it's board games. I mean, it's a video game expo too, isn't it? I mean, shouldn't there be like a video game stalls? I don't get it. I don't understand. But anyway.
Yeah, look, I think there's money to be made there, because you've got some merchandise stores, you've got board game stores, and yes, I know a lot of video games are digital now, but there's no reason why, if EB had more of their games there rather than just merch, and had them at a reasonable price, they would have sold a truckload.
Yeah, EB had all their shit that they can't sell at their stores. That's what they had there.
Yeah.
And there was a Corley mask. There was a Corley mask. I remember I took a photo of that too. You couldn't see his eyes properly.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. So he couldn't go skiing. Yeah.
That's right.
I know there's like a lot of the computer peripheral makers go out there as well. And maybe they need to cull some of that stuff to make room for others.
I agree.
It's hard, right? Because I mean, you don't know what the solution is, because there isn't really a bigger venue now, and you've got half of it dedicated to. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they need to shuffle the way some of the stuff is. Maybe the layout. Maybe they need to bring the classic area into. No, you can't, though, because then that's just free play as well. Who knows?
Well, I found that the board gaming area wasn't as packed as it normally was. Maybe because it was a Friday.
I found the same thing actually on Saturday too.
Oh, really?
It just looked like they assigned a lot more room for that than anything else there, and I reckon only half of it was used.
It wasn't.
Yeah.
Maybe it was overkill. Was Magic the Gathering there by any chance, Dave?
I didn't see much with regards to Magic. I'm sure it probably was there, but I didn't see anything. No.
I know. I think might have even happened last year. Yeah, maybe it was last year where they said that they weren't coming out anymore because PAX was charging too much. So they may have given like their space to the free play area.
Yep. That makes sense.
That's probably why. Yeah, probably why it looked a bit more empty. If that's the case.
I did. Interesting. I did suss out the Audio Technica stall because I did a podcast with Press Play Tape while I was there. Oh, guys, if you could have played with their toys, far. Wow, I mean, look, my stuff that I have is pretty cool from theirs, but geez, mate, their top tier stuff is next level shit. It just sounds just so beautiful. Yeah.
Squad goals for next year, huh?
Yeah, that's what I reckon. Okay, Audio Technica.
We'll try and record from there.
Yeah, man. We should do that.
Because they let everyone. Yeah, they let everyone do it, right? It's not. I think you just need to let them know, and they'll let you do it. So
yes, yeah.
Would be cool.
We have to. We'll do it next year. We'll do it next year. Be good.
Yeah, cool. Any other PAX thoughts before we wrap it up?
I guess in the classic gaming area, look, they had some really good pinball machines. That's part is always pretty decent. There wasn't much in the way of arcade machines this time, which was a bit disappointing. And I really liked, they did have, it could have been Aaron as well, who had a display of PC games from sort of the late 90s.
It wasn't Aaron, it was another guy. I can't remember his name.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I think he's a journalist, I think. Aaron.
Claude? I can't remember.
Yeah, I've seen him mentioned on Twitter a lot, but yeah.
Well, that was really nice. It was really good. I did take a photo of that. I was quite impressed. It brought back a lot of memories seeing those boxes.
Half-Life.
Yeah. Had everything. I think it had System Shock in there and a few others. So
there's even dev kits.
Boxes.
Dev kits, Jaguar dev kits, Saturn dev kits, had everything.
Yeah, N64 dev kit as well.
Yeah.
And it had old Voodoo 2 boxes as well.
Cool.
It was just great memories of going to swap meets back in the day.
Oh,
so
another cool thing,
nice.
they had a Doom tournament with old PCs.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah.
Ubisoft Australia, which I'm guessing is like the distributor for Bethesda here. Yeah, I think Aaron reached out to them and they gave him like some pins and some other stuff as well. So that's cool. And shout outs to Aaron as well, man, for putting in the effort.
Yeah.
To put on a good tournament as well. So that was really cool to see.
It was nice seeing, old school sort of 486 computers running Doom.
Yeah, exactly.
in their beige glory.
Exactly, and that's the kind of stuff I really like to see. I mean, when we were involved, we always tried to bring something different to the table. Like we had Halo, four system links and all that kind of stuff. So, no, cool to see that kind of stuff is carrying on. But cool, awesome.
That's
well,
it.
I guess that's it. Before we wrap it up, guys? Any shout outs that you want to give out?
Shout outs to everyone who listens in. Thanks again. The support is awesome. And shout out to Aaron as well. Thanks for letting me join in with the Press Play and Tape podcast at PAX. That was a lot of fun. It was good to revisit my old baby. So yeah.
Nice.
Cool. Dave?
No, I don't really have any shout outs. Just, thanks for everyone listening. PAX was good. I look forward to going again next year. That's about it.
It was bonkers.
Cool.
It was
bonkers.
madness.
It was madness.
The lines were madness.
The lines were madness. God, the lines.
I wanted to go to PAX too.
No, you're too young.
Yeah.
No one wants little kiddies there. Go away.
I'm 25.
Why do you sound like you're 3 years old?
Oh, mate, I'm getting sick of your shit.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, wow.
She's getting angry, man. Gee, you had to push her
I feel
away.
really attacked.
Hey.
2019.
That escalated quickly, didn't it?
Alrighty, cool. Well, everyone, thanks. As always, thanks for listening. We will be back in a couple of weeks' time, no doubt. As always, Daz, where else can our listeners check you out?
On at the Arcade Perfect Podcast on Facebook, Podbean, iTunes, and the Twitters as well.
Excellent.
Twatters as well.
The twatters.
The twatters.
Yep. Cool. Alrighty. Well, cool. Thanks everyone again for listening. Daz, Dave, pleasure as always. And we'll see you guys next time.
All right. See you guys.
Ta-ta.
Bye.
Bye.